a different person on the farm. She always has been. She doesn't change her clothes for a week. She swims in the dam. She's free.
I love this part of life.
Oh, it's so nice.
But I definitely went through stages when I just didn't really feel I had any kind of purpose, any reason for getting up in the mornings.
You want to go?
And you've got to have that purpose.
We're standing here for 1 minute.
When you think about Rachel's life, she's really reinvented herself multiple times. She was a model, an actress, a writer, director, and now probably the biggest transformation is to become a farmer.
Oh, you're a greedy Gatsby, 17.
She's bloody loving and fully involved in it, there's no question about that.
Go on then, off you go on.
She started operating the farm back there about 4 years ago and is running it now herself with a bit of help from her friends. Not necessarily her husband.
Boy, where are your kids?
I mean, that's Mum's kind of gung-ho attitude.
Yeah.
She's told me some stories where you're like, wow, you've seriously lived a life.
I think she's really relieved that somehow she ended up as a farmer. Regenerative farming has given her this purpose.
Very happy cows.
Yeah, she got onto this thing of regenerating the land, and in doing so, regenerated herself and came back to life. So what are we doing today? We're just going to bit of a trim, yeah?
Just a little bit of a trim, please.
Trim.
Just get the buff out.
I follow Rachel on Instagram because I'm curious about what's happening on the farm and I love the updates.
Here with the trough empty, cattle need water, solar pump not quite reaching.
One morning I just read this comment, Rachel has let herself go.
A few trolls were a bit shocked about my grey hair. Who maybe hadn't seen me since I was 24 and then went, oh my God, that's what you end up looking like. I think
Take
the
over the
more wretched I look, the more followers I have. Let's see how bad Rachel looks today. How old and decrepit.
God,
Yeah.
just let yourself go, Mum. Mum was extraordinarily beautiful and is still extraordinarily beautiful, but she was never aware of her beauty.
You're a very brutal hairdresser.
She's never, ever cared about how she looks. I don't think she's combed her hair in 30 years, 40 years, and that was probably because someone combed it in a makeup van or something.
I could always feel that she was trying to prove herself to be more than that. With age, she's just let that go. People are so shocked by how old you look that they go viral.
I would say that as actors, Rachel and I are in a minority of our generation who have not gone for procedures and the trying to preserve the youthful, glamorous, beautiful, fuckable look. Am I allowed to say fuckable?
I may just even make myself look even more wretched. And then
some
I'll
cow
get...
poo on your face and...
Yeah. It took me a long time to feel that I had value as a woman. But I'm more content now than I've ever been. I'm so past caring about what people think about one's appearance or age. All I want to hear is, actually, Rachel's cows are looking pretty good. So tomorrow we are going to take the bulls out. The bulls have been in since January the 4th and they need to come out. They've been in for 2 months, they've done their deeds. And
Where are they going to go then?
We're going to go back in the bull paddock. We've had the farm now for about 40 years and we found it when we were shooting a film at Barraville. We became completely enchanted by this area.
Any lady friends?
Don't you think they'd be over the ladies by now?
They're bulls.
Been...
It's like you say to a bull, oh, are you over it now? They go, hold on, I'm a bull.
I think Mum growing up in the country influenced her a lot, and she's always felt at home in the countryside, even though her upbringing was very rigid.
My mum was raised by nannies. They were in England. They had a Cotswolds family home, which is sort of the manor house of a village. And they were sort of very aristocratic.
My upbringing was very sort of Victorian Edwardian. Children should be seen and not heard. Women should never be heard. I mean, my father's classic was, what do you need an education for? You're pretty enough to marry someone very rich. Me and my sister were not mentioned in the will. Everything went to my brother.
In Rachel's case, the total dismissal of women as not being worth listening to or having any opinion, she detested it and was offended by it.
How that affected me the most was with self-esteem. You just never really felt that you were worth very much. Rachel Ward, one of the fastest rising stars in modelling and Zoli's good friend. Oh, blah, blah.
But 17, she went to New York to model. She was told over and over again that she was very beautiful and that that was her value.
Those were the days. Look at that makeup, blue eyeshadow and that hair. Terrible.
We both started off working as models in the late 70s. So we were working with the same photographers. They were always trying to get into your pants. Rachel was the sort of international top model who would just corner the market. Always a cover girl.
She was hanging out with Andy Warhol. You know, she was bopping around New York. She was in London. She was like hanging out with John Kennedy at some point.
Andy Warhol paid me for being on his cover of Interview, and he gave me that, and I went, a cow? I don't want a picture of a bloody cow. How ironic. Here he is, how clever of him. To have known I was going to end up as a cowhand. I went to Hollywood about 82. I got, enough of a pretty ticket to get me into the door. Everything was about sexuality. It was all about the red bathing suit, getting as much breast in there as possible. It was all about the male gaze. It's very empty and it's very unsatisfying.
The big break came when she was cast as the lead in The Thornbirds by Colleen McCulloch, with Richard Chamberlain and Brian Brown.
Well, I was shearing a sheep and someone brought her over to meet me because she was the star of the show. I was 34. Rachel was only like 24, I think, and she was the lead, so it was a big deal for her.
When he sort of showed up in his rugged set clothes where he was the sheep shearer, she was like, whoa, that is a hot man. But then he would get changed into his everyday clothes and put on his like Aussie larrikin shirt and she'd be like, oh no, who's this guy?
I think part of Brian's appeal to me was that he had a value system that was very different from anything I'd known from my background and from Hollywood. He was very solid with his values. He had a single mother who brought him up. He loved women. And I think I felt that his morality was in there.
She was bright and alive and fun to be with, And, she didn't look too bad either, which helped. Obviously, we hit it off very well and thought, well, instead of arguing all the time, why don't we marry?
How's that worked out?
We keep arguing.
It's hard to keep a low profile when the bride in question is Rachel Ward, and when the groom is Brian Brown. Rachel's father, who owns the entire village, had invited all 50 locals.
We met in June and we were married the following April. So it was pretty quick, but I think we both kind of knew. I certainly had no concept of how far really Australia was.
What have you got there, Rosie? Hey, what is it?
Lego.
I did miss family very much when I had young children. We were living in a beach suburb, which was lovely, but it was isolated and it was lonely.
Sing happy birthday to Rose.
Sing
happy birthday to Rosie.
And I've definitely had a few mental health issues as a result of that.
That's another Joe there, is it? Or Matilda?
Like one, wouldn't you?
When you have a baby and you haven't got family, that's hard. And sometimes I'd be pulled to do a job somewhere. So all that stuff's difficult.
She struggled for a bit at that point, and that is eventually why she went back to university, studied writing, and then we moved into the city.
She started writing her own little stories and making short films. Then that just kept going.
Oh, mate, I'm not into that stuff, you know, with a girlfriend on the outside.
So what? I was married before I came in here.
She got the bug. She loved it. And then she went on to make Beautiful Kate, which was the first feature film that she made, which we were all involved in.
Kiss and make up.
Rachel Ward proved her mettle as writer-director with her short films, and she really conquers the longer form.
Well, when did we get to the point that you can't use your legs?
The last scene you've seen is my legs going.
It's quite funny when she's working with Dad because they just bicker the whole time. There's an equal footing in there. You know, Mum will give as hard as she gets, and Dad's just loud. But she doesn't give up easily.
It looks a bit silly. I think it's too much.
As a director, she's alive when she's doing it. She's challenged, which she loves. Cut! You'd look from the outside and go, well, Rach Ward, she's had a successful career. But she definitely didn't feel that way. I don't think ever. I think that sitting idle was really hard for her, waiting for the phone to ring to tell her she had a job or whatever. It was not good for her mental health. And I think that it just ground her down. She struggled with depression for a very long time.
Some people have arthritis or terrible diseases or get cancer or whatever. My thing has been my serotonin, you know, just without antidepressants. I just can not get up in the morning. I felt very guilty about it too because I have so much, you know, I'm so privileged. And that makes it feel worse. I kept thinking, oh, it's just because I've changed countries that I feel alien. But actually, it's because I was living in suburbia, and the minute I came back to the country, it was like it all made sense.
That Rosie wave!
I can never remember a time when the farm wasn't part of our life.
Farmer Brown. That's not very funny.
We've been coming every holidays, every long weekend. Family would all come, the cousins would come. It was definitely a place of anyone's welcome.
Did she buck you, darling?
At that point, Mum will tell you she had no idea about the farming side of it. We had a manager managing the farm.
I probably first met Rachel when I was about 17, you know. Dad was doing the managing job and then I took over.
For a long time, we just farmed conventionally. We used to set stock and just leave them in those paddocks for 2, 3, 4 weeks, and they would eat the grass right down. And then it's very susceptible to drought and to being eroded. And then we would plant new feed on bare ground. We would pour on chemical fertiliser. In Australia, we just have destroyed our country by this set stocking. And that's why we've got such erosion issues and lack of diversity.
Back in probably 2018, and there was a couple of pretty dry years, and then the 2019 we had some real dry time.
The drought has tightened its grip on New South Wales, with 100% of the state now affected.
We sold quite a lot of the cattle because we had no grass and we were in a pretty bad way. And then the fires hit.
New South Wales is tonight in the grip of a major bushfire emergency.
Well, authorities have dubbed uncharted territory.
The worst in at least 20 years.
The whole of the forest around the farm and all the way up the river was set alight. And my neighbour was on a wildlife corridor, and the fire just went right up there and took her house.
I was in Sydney and Rachel rang and said, the fires are here, they're all through the forest. And she said, I'm going to stay at a friend's place tonight. I don't think the farm will be here tomorrow.
And luckily the wind didn't come down the hill and we were spared.
It was pretty traumatic for the whole area and pretty scary.
That was a real moment for Mum. My sister had just had Zan, so her first grandson. She'd taken herself off her antidepressants probably much too quickly. She wanted to feel the full extent of all of those emotions, having grandchildren.
But then all of this stuff came up. Yeah, and she had... I can't talk about this. There was a particular day that we just didn't know where she was. And I mean, we found her, she was at the hospital, but I think for her too, I think she's scared herself.
She was in a car crash, and at the hospital they sort of spoke to her about it being a bit of a mental breakdown, and then she got put on different antidepressants, and now she's been fine ever since.
I had a bit of a crumble after the fires, sort of mentally, because I just could not see the way forward, I suppose, for the grandchildren. What was their world going to be? I was certainly very anxious about climate change, and I went, we've all got to do our bit. What do we do? I felt very impotent.
It was that moment of anguish that made her look at the farm. And Mick Jr., the farm manager, came to Rachel and he actually said, we've got to farm differently.
What are we looking at?
Soil moisture, or the lack of it.
Yeah.
The temperature's getting too hot, it bakes as it warms up in the sun, and all your microbial action shuts down.
Yeah, it looks pretty dead.
And that sparked a real interest from Rachel around the whole regenerative farming movement.
Sometimes I don't like using the word regenerative because it polarises, but we're not doing a great job. I'm trying to be better at managing the land and use less chemicals, trying to improve soil carbon, improve diversity, improve water use and infiltration. My goal is to take that soil and I just want it to be full of life and have earthworms, biologically active.
At a certain point, I was of the opinion that the cattle were adding to our problems with the environment. Just can't overstock. And it was really when I understood, after doing the research, that actually the cows are such a great tool for the whole system.
She got right into it. She said to Dad, I'm not going to be living in Sydney anymore. I want to live on the farm.
I was probably the worst farmhand, Mick could have dreamt up.
Come on, girl.
Go on, Bobby. But there's only one way to do it. You've got to jump in. You only learn from doing it. You only learn from the mistakes.
More? A little bit more. Well, a little bit less. She doesn't like me saying it. Rachel, you slow down. You're not a good driver.
We've lost a few bits of machinery. We've ended up with a ute and a dam, and a roof off a tractor.
Vehicles are not her strength. Her strength's, in out there with the cows and the grass and the, making the farm work.
Credit where credit's due. Like, don't tell her I said any of this, but she drives the buggy around, totally confident.
You're taking on a whole new skill set and a whole new career at 65. Genius, Rachel.
Classic mum. It's not enough to just be farming the farm. She decides that she wants to make a documentary about it.
Okay, so where would we put the contour?
Well, we're actually on a step.
Right,
here.
we're on a step,
So
right.
we would have the contour going from here.
I was really grateful to have the opportunity to produce this film, Rachel's Farm, a feature documentary. Really, having her go through the learning process, make the mistakes, being confronted with really difficult decisions. It was step by step unpacking what's required to become a regen farmer.
Yeah, Zam 1, right?
Yeah,
and then you've split it into 2.
Yeah. Then we will go into Riley 2.
The first things we did, we increased the number of paddocks and reduced the size.
Okay. The whole idea was to have small paddocks that you constantly move the animals around. Oh, they're going to be so happy to be in here. So we use the animals as a tool. I mean, they're like mobile composters. They're 8 volts. They're trampling the grass, they're nipping off the top, so you never keep them too long in one paddock. Come on, 232. Which means, of course, the grass must grow again, so you're perpetually growing. Come on. When it rains, instead of running off the surface, it holds the rain in the soil, it seeps down and it builds this carbon sponge, which is why I'm electrified by the idea of regenerative farming, because that sponge will hold the water. This is exactly how they like it.
Not a single moo.
Not a single moo, no.
Rachel was able to take that property and transform it through regenerative agriculture into a thriving, biologically diverse farm producing beautiful grass-fed, grass-finished meat.
And these are, look, clearly happy cows, living their cow lives. Since making the documentary, I am now managing the farm myself. I can bloody well make the decisions now about how we move forward. All right, let's weigh them all, and it'll be great to know what you think, whether they're ready or not. Okay, number 7 is, how much was it? My next mission is to get my meat to people in the cities that want regenerative, chemical-free meat.
That's the one you want to send, Rachel?
Yes, I know, definitely. In the cities, we're so disconnected from where our food is grown and how it's grown that we've just put the blinkers on and we've stopped looking. These guys are off to the abattoir tonight, and then they will go to Port Meats, which is a butchery in Port Macquarie, and then they will go to Farm Through. I'm so excited about this paddock to plate thing, because as the consumer, you can go on a website and you can go, oh, I like the way they're treating their animals, I like what they're doing with their land, and you can buy that meat that has come through a system that you approve of.
Consumers can actually see where the food that you're ordering is coming from, like literally where it's grazed.
It's a movement now. People are interested in this way of life, a lot more now. People are interested in the fact that Rachel Ward was this glamour woman, and now she's driving a tractor on a farm.
But I'm on the tractor, I'm slashing 3 fields.
She's not super tech savvy, but she has got a handle on Instagram.
I also want to thank my neighbours, one of whom is out there right now fixing my water problem.
That particular one she did just before Christmas, the comments that came in, lots of lovely comments from people, but brutal comments from people. Is this Rachel Ward? Barely recognised her. Oh, darling, what have you done? You have let yourself go.
Oh, listen to this one.
So you got 2 now?
Oh, wow, wish I never saw her like this.
Mum was reading them out, laughing, because she thought it was hilarious.
Rachel, fix yourself up with still time.
Funny, isn't it?
Oh my God.
She wasn't particularly offended by them, but I couldn't believe what people had focused on or written. So my thing was like, well, I'm going to rebut those comments and make a reel that is mum, 68-year-old woman, aging naturally, but also gorgeous, beautiful, loving, all the things that she is. And that reel went viral.
Mum's Instagram went up about 100,000 followers in about 4 days, which was
30,000 comments.
I was just incredibly moved by how many people rallied to sort of go, don't listen to those trolls, you look great.
And for anybody to criticise the cosmetic aesthetics of how she looks is just blind to what's important in life.
I think I was a catalyst for a conversation that I think people had been challenged by getting old. Women weren't allowed to have a wrinkle, weren't allowed to go grey. Why do we feel that we've got to pretend that we're still 40 when we're 68? I have tried to do a little better today. Ran my hands through my hair, etc. Go on, 232, go on.
For those people who feel that their world is guided by outward-facing beauty, I hope the wisdom comes to them as they grow older, along with the wrinkles.
Come and stand under this one.
You know, it is the getting of wisdom.
It didn't worry her in the slightest. Not in the slightest. Yeah, it's probably like having a purpose that's greater than yourself. And that's a cow in a paddock.
I'm very grateful for those trolls, actually, that actually made me relevant for a moment. So I'm using that to push my message. Regenerative farming is really about embracing every bit of life that you have on the farm. It's the opposite of industrial farming.
She used all this attention that she got and turned it around and made it about regenerative farming.
But I finally have the impertinence to call myself a farmer.
The whole farming journey that she's been on has grounded her. I just don't think she could ever be happier than riding around in her buggy with the kids strewn all over her.
Put it back in there.
No! Now, our kids coming to the farm, it's beautiful that they get to experience that as well.
Ready, steady, go!
They love being there with Mum. She's like very hands-on with them.
Oh, so good.
The farm is happy. You can feel it in the land, you can hear it in the bird song and the frogs. And she seems regenerated herself through regenerating the farm.
What have you got there?
Some scotch and
what's that stuff?
That's a sort of rosemary and salt.
I think it was important for her work to mean something. Now she has somewhere to put all that energy. And so like, she just rings out the day.
Are these from Woolies?
Of course they're not from Woolies, and there's barbecue.
I just feel like she's really got to where she wants to be and who she wants to be and how she wants to live her life right now.
I think it's taken me a very long time to feel like I belong in Australia. Everybody helped themselves just coming here. I was sentimental about the English landscape because that's where I'd grown up. And now I'm just completely sentimental about the Australian landscape and about this landscape and what country can mean to you and can give you such a sense of place. It's a great stage of life.
Come on, up you go. Keep going, up you go.
Brian.
Come on, up you go.
Don't let them go through there. Oh my God. Oh, great. They're nearly there, so don't put any pressure on them. Now, wait. This is called low-stress stock handling. Make a farmer of you yet? Don't trust him. Don't trust him.